Hello everyone. In this video, this is the second one I'm doing in my Shit on the Hill series, because if you didn't catch the first video, I received a 9-day ban from their Disqus comment section for calling them out for banning someone on a name that they said was offensive, that didn't apparently violate Disqus's terms of service, in order to silence them because they were causing the Trump deranged and left to far left leftist types that have now become the Hill's audience to spurg out like complete and total fucking retards. Now, for doing this, I was referred to as a troll for calling them out and given a 9-day ban, which goes to show how sensitive the people are at the Hill. So anyway, this is, like I said, the second article in my Shit on the Hill series here, because I want to expose them for all their bullshit. Because if I can't expose them and their readers for the rare time that I decided to in their comment section, because I saw something, I was like, well, shit, I'm going to comment and call it out. And that happens, well, I'm going to shit on you in a few videos. That's how I see it. I'm going to call you out. I'm going to friggin' show you for the morons you are. So anyway, this article is from August 28th. It's written by Miranda Green. EPA head, new coal plant plan will level the playing field. Now, the reason why I chose this article is because the Hill's supposed to be a conservative outlet. And there are like, oh, actually, maybe Miranda and the editor approved it, but there's some serious, you know, like green shit going on besides Miranda's name. Because they don't explain. All right, now, see, this is one thing with coal power plants, before we get into this article, that needs to be explained. At least coal power plants in the United States. They're nothing like the coal power plants that people think, you know, of when it comes to their perception. They see like the idea of these coal power plants in the third world where they're running them so hard that, like China, for example, you've got clouds of shit in the air. But that's more than just the coal power plants. That's all the industrial shit going on there. That's with no pollution controls. In the United States, there are things called pollution controls with clean carbon plants, and they go, oh, they're not clean carbon. They're not clean. All they really produce is carbon dioxide. All the other chemicals are scrubbed from the exhaust of the power plant, and they're used in other industrial processes. So all you really have is CO2 going out into the air. And people seem to forget the idea of basic middle school biology on the note of plants need CO2. Carbon is a building block of the universe, and plants, when they take in CO2, extract the carbon and produce oxygen. And if they actually taught in, say, science class beyond biology the idea that, which this would destroy their whole thing of CO2 being the highest ever recorded. If you look at ice core samples that go back millennia, as in thousands of years, CO2 is at an all-time low for the most part historically. Now, I'm not saying that climate change isn't happening. Climate is cyclical, and there are other outside factors that can affect climate change besides man. And I'm not saying that man isn't affecting climate change. But what I'm saying is you have this situation where people don't know the facts. You know, it's usually the types that are like, the real stoner types, man, that like grow their own shit, man. They're like all organic, man. These are like the worst ones, man. They like have like their enclosed grow room with like CO2 being pumped in, man. And they're going, CO2 is so bad, man. Then why do you friggin' put it on your weed? Why do you expose your weed to it? Why do you have a room that you just flood the shit out of with CO2? Oh, that's right. It converts it to oxygen. But yet, CO2 is bad. Anyway, whether you agree with me or disagree on that, let's just get into the article. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Andrew Wheeler on Tuesday said that the administration's newly proposed alternative to the Obama-era Clean Power Plan will level the playing field for coal plants in an era where renewable fuels and liquid natural gas are growing in prominence. Now, they're taking this out of context, okay? This is how dishonest the Hill is. See, the Obama Clean Power Plan was top-down, socialist, green, globalist, control power. If you control electricity, you control the masses type friggin' bullshit. Which it was. Because the idea isn't about renewables, which renewables all of his buddies are involved in. You cannot, at the current time, produce enough energy with solar, and you can't store it. So once the sun goes down, you're fucked. You can't produce enough with wind, and you kill shit tons of birds. And you have to worry about whether you're going to be, having electricity or not, because you're at the whim of Mother Nature. Coal is a very reliable source of power. You can produce a lot of energy with coal. And the thing is when you literally rig the game against coal power plants and through executive order shut down private industry, because these power plants, some of them, they got shut down, privately owned. Are all privately owned, actually. Whether the company's traded or not is a regardless type of situation. But Obama signed executive orders that forced coal power plants to shut down. He stacked everything against coal power plants. He did everything to prop up the quote-unquote renewable fuels like solar and wind and so on. He was against liquid natural gas, but because it's happening and fracking allowed for it, the prices have dropped. So, yeah, of course, natural gas is an alternative, but coal is still very viable. Obama was literally trying to fucking bend the nation to his will using executive order, like a king would. I decree, therefore it will be. Speaking at an Ohio Chamber of Commerce event, Wheeler praised Trump's new plan called the Affordable Clean Energy Rule for the flexibility it gives to states to regulate their own coal-fired power plants. Oh, that's so bad. Letting the states decide what regulation within their borders should be. Huh. Well, that's such a bad fucking thing, huh, hell? This will provide more flexibility to states. Obama's plan was more social engineering. Yeah, it was. And I love how they try to ignore this fact and say, oh, it's just a quote. They don't want to admit that. We're returning to the core basics of the Clean Air Act by working more cooperatively with states, Wheeler said in an event. Yes, exactly. The Clean Air Act said, okay, this is the basis. This is the minimum. This is what you're going to do. Okay? If you want to regulate more than that, that's up to you. That was the whole idea of the Clean Air Act. And that's how it should be. That cooperation includes allowing coal plants the ability to stay operating past the point that they likely would retire under the Obama administration's plan. Oh, you mean the Obama administration's fucking executive order bullshit? Yeah. Why don't you be honest about that, Hill? That he did this through executive order and did not have the power to do so. He used an executive order to tell the EPA, this is what you're doing, and to shut down coal power plants. The new plan eases regulation for coal plants to meet certain environmental air standards determined under the CPP by instead allowing states to determine their own standards for carbon pollution controls. Yes, carbon pollution controls. Carbon credits. carbon tax. This was the basis for that. Which, you gotta love how Obama was so fucking carbon happy and had a stake because he was the attorney of record for Al Gore and Maurice Strong, another who were the masterminds behind the Chicago Carbon Exchange. All three of them worked together. Obama did all the legal work for the Chicago Carbon Exchange. They won the same exchange that they tried to force on the American people, where you had to buy carbon credits. Which, you want to hear something really ironic about that? Maurice Strong gets a fugitive, when he was alive, mind you, he was a fugitive. He died a fugitive. Wanted in the United States for his involvement in the Iraqi food for oil scandal. Fled the U.S. jurisdiction to China to basically be protected by them. And Obama, his shady business partner, let him keep his interest in the Chicago Carbon Exchange and all of his other assets. So here we have a man on the run, and Obama did everything to make sure that none of his assets were frozen. Just so you know. So this is all about carbon taxes. It's not about a better environment. It's all about money. Wheeler said the new plan would slow the closing of coal plants across the country. Good. We're barely making enough fucking power for ourselves now. And all of you green people, you want your electric cars. Well, guess what? If society were to transition, we don't remotely have the power generating capabilities to handle what we got now and the transition of all these people to electric vehicles. We're barely producing a surplus of electricity at any given time. The more those plants close, the less energy we're making, because we're really not replacing them. And it takes, we'll say, 2 natural gas power plants to make up for 1 coal. So you have that to worry about as well. So yeah, oh yeah, natural gas is becoming more practical. But it takes twice the amount of power plants. I mean, these are things that people don't want to look at. We're allowing states to set reduction targets for each plant, so it's not going to require the wholesale closure of fire plants of every type. What it's really going to do is level the playing field, Wheeler said. About 40% of U.S. coal-fired power plants have closed or have plans to shutter, according to the American Coalition for Clean Coal Electricity. Yeah, 40%. And you know whose fucking fault that is? That 40% of the coal plants closed in the U.S.? It's all on Obama and his executive order bullshit. And making it regulatory, unless you're like GE and you're sucking his dick, you couldn't run a coal power plant. Because they made it financially impossible for someone to economically run a coal power plant. That's not capitalism. If they can produce only CO2 out the fucking top of the stack, what's the problem? I don't see a problem. In 2017, coal made up 14% of U.S. energy consumption, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Coal consumption in the U.S., the top consumer of energy sources, peaked in 2007 and has declined ever since. Leaving out a very particular fact to this one. What happened? Obama came around, got in, and one of the first things he did was go after, start going after coal power plants and everything else. That's why they're on the decline. Give credit where credit is due. Obama and his administration. Coal is a top contributor to greenhouse gas emissions globally. Yeah, but be honest. You're trying to make it sound like they produce all the gases in the U.S. They're clean coal. Everything's scrubbed but CO2. So they produce a greenhouse gas in the U.S. Officials pointed to the Obama-era standards as an administrative bias against coal, as the standards ultimately pushed to phase out the fossil fuel in favor of cleaner energy such as renewable energy and natural gas. I love that. Well, they claimed. No, it was. Be honest. Jesus Christ. See, this is the type of shit. This is why I'm doing the shit on hell thing. You're gonna silence me, well, I'm gonna call you out in videos. See, this is ridiculous. Green here, she's fucking clueless. It was a fact that there was bias against coal. Obama flat out fucking said he was gonna shut down coal plants in this country. And he didn't even want natural gas. And he was in bed with all these green energy companies. Buddy with all the people running them and shit. Giving them frigging free government money and stuff. He was propping up the industry. Is what he was doing, is he was trying to force the industry, us to go and put money into an industry as consumers to prop it up. The idea is if they can produce coal power and only put out CO2, because natural gas puts out CO2. If they can do that, they should be able to compete on a level playing field, as long as they meet environmental standards on the note of, well, if you're only producing CO2 and trees consume CO2 and other plants consume CO2, well then shit. Plant a bunch of trees around your plant. Build one. Fair. Equitable, level playing field, capitalism. But see, Obama doesn't want that. This was top-down socialism. Him trying to dictate industry. Him trying to dictate what Americans consume on the note of where their power comes from. You'd think the Hill would call this shit out. I mean, they're so Trump deranged that they fucking will literally pass off falsehoods as fact. It's not even funny. Anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.